Well, earlier this week, Governor Hogan announced the first 3 appearances of the Omicron variant in our state, and it comes as Maryland is in the middle of a post-Thanksgiving surge, with the state reporting more than 1,800 new cases yesterday. And here to go over the new surge and the new variant, we have Dr. Christopher Thompson. He is Associate Professor of Biology at Loyola University, Maryland. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, so what do we know about this new Omicron variant?
Unfortunately, not very much. So we know that it's spreading pretty quickly, and it looks like it's more transmissible than what we had seen with Delta or some of the others. Early data suggests that it's not as severe of an infection, so a pretty mild infection, but it's still something to be concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that the different vaccine makers are working on a potential tweak to their vaccine. At this point, we don't even know if that's necessary.
Exactly. I can't imagine that this would completely evade our immune system. Our immune system is robust and complex and comes up with all these neat ways to fight off infections. So the chances of this completely evading that is minimal, I think. But they are being smart and planning for, if this does become the dominant strain, planning for ways to try and help us get through that.
All right. And we've just heard that the 2 people who got Omicron had been vaccinated fully. They'd not yet received their boosters. We're starting to hear about more and more breakthrough cases. At this point, do we even call them breakthrough cases because so many people who have been fully vaccinated are getting COVID?
Yeah, that's one thing that we're really looking at with the data. They are still breakthrough infections because they have been fully vaccinated. But again, the immune system is really complex. Things like stress and other illnesses, things like that, can alter the way the immune system works. So we are seeing a fair number of breakthrough infections, but we're still seeing a lot of protection too. There are a lot of people around these people who haven't gotten infected, thanks in large part probably to the vaccination.
So is the next thing, do you think, that they're going to start looking at is a number of people who still get COVID even after they've received a booster?
Absolutely, yeah. And the boosters are still pretty early, so we're not seeing that data come in yet, but we do want to look at that. Early data suggests that you can boost from anywhere from 40% to 70%, depending on when you get your booster shot, all the way back up into the 90s. So the boosters seem really effective, and it's kind of a great reminder to your immune system that this is what we're fighting against. And so it seems very protective at this point, but we do need to look at that data.
Okay, so let's say you had your first 2 shots and you didn't have a reaction. Should you expect a reaction from the booster? If you don't get a reaction, is that good? If you do get a reaction, is that good?
That's a fantastic question. I think one that's on everyone's mind right now. You may or may not get a reaction. And remember, mixing and matching is allowed. And so you might get a different booster than one you got for your first 2 shots. So you may get a reaction, you may not get a reaction. Everyone's a little bit different. And as far as, what you should expect, it's hard to predict, as far as whether or not a reaction means anything, we don't really know. Everyone's threshold for pain or illness or feeling a little off is a little bit different. So, someone might say, oh, my arm is sore, and another person not even notice that, even though it's the same level of inflammation. I think we just need to have faith in the science that the shots work. You're having a reaction, whether you feel anything or not, your cells are doing the right thing.
All right, one last question. Where do you think we're at in COVID vaccines for kids younger than 5?
We're doing really, really well. My son went to White Marsh Mall a couple of weeks ago and got his first shot, and the lines there were incredibly long.
Oh, okay,
So
wait, but
really
those are for kids old 5 and 11, but what about the vaccines for kids younger than 5?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the data there is still emerging, and we still have a ways to go before we can tell whether or not that's going to be safe and effective and what dosage to give. I'm hopeful that in the next few months, we'll have a lot more clarity about that.
Gotcha. Dr. Thompson, I'm glad that your son did really well with the vaccine too. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks as always for joining us and giving us updated information. Stay with